Steve, come on up, I think you're on deck first. Calls to order at 7 p.m. Mr. Coffey's the only one absent. I didn't grab the sheet. Remind Deborah, I don't know when it was placed. Here, not?
Nothing.
No comment tonight?
It's not for public consumption anymore.
You control the tape. Be the
I
Rosemary
do
Woods.
control that tape, don't
Be
I?
the Rosemary Woods, right? Okay, amending local law 2007, fee schedule change.
The one that you guys have, does it say draft across the front of it?
Yeah.
Or, Deborah and I and Marie were working on this to make sure it said draft. Because we did, CJ and I were going over it, and does it say 2014? Did you guys, if you look on the very top, just to
Up
start
here
it
in the
out.
very.
It does say 2014 one, you guys got?
Yeah, we've got the proposal. What I've got here is a copy. I asked Deborah to do a copy of what's currently in force. So this is the current one. There's no marked notes on it, so just be aware that's what it is. As I was looking at it, I wanted to know how does that compare to where we are and what we're doing. And that's why we printed this. I think she got it offline from your office side.
Yeah, from Marie. We got the original one from the 2007, where we originally amended it, and as per CJ set it up for a resolution change in case we need to do it on a yearly basis. It doesn't need to go out. So CJ set that 07, we changed it again to do consulting fees, and now it's for the addition of what we would consider the state saying now we're going to be responsible for county properties. And on page 1, 2, on the third one down, it's going to be number K. That's the only true changes.
Okay, I'm still catching up with you a bit, Steve, because I want to monitor the two of these.
So
We're looking at,
the one that says draft,
Third
no, you're just
page.
looking at the fees.
yes, just the only thing that changed is K. If you start going down, it'll go A through all the way down, J and K.
Can I ask a question then right away, Steve? Why, we last did this in 2007, and nothing changes until we get to K?
No, we changed it, and we also did the amendment updates, and what she didn't include was the amendment, and I think it was when Terry Miron had a fire, so I don't want to, I think it was either 08 or 09. We did the amendment. It was the local law, one of them to be able to do the
I
consulting
didn't give
fees.
you don't have a copy of what I'm looking at as the current, do you? You should have that, so you know we're all right. You do?
Local law 2007.
7. This is the original one from 07 where we derived, because 07 the New York State code changed.
Right.
So when we changed the actual code book to go to another one, we said the 07, and this is where it's derived out of, the New York State code book.
But these fees haven't changed on this one since '07?
Yes, they have.
They have.
This
So
was,
these,
this was the original law. This
Yep,
is where we can change
gotcha
it
on
by
that.
resolution.
And these fees were changed after.
They've been changed 3 times.
Okay.
2 times. Updated for our zoning board of appeals. Then we also did for, if you look on the, if you guys are looking at the ones that are in current now, we changed when Terry Miron had the fire, because we were looking consulting fees, because we had to hire a forensic, fire forensic guy to go in there to test the concrete, to test everything else, because it was commercial, it was different. And that is an L. That's when we replaced this. This is e.g. fire safeties, property maintenance, inspection of zoning compliance letters, for 1, 2 family and all others. Then we charge.
L, under the old law?
No, yes, on the old fees.
And those fees, Steve, under L, that would cover the cost of hiring a forensic expert to come in and provide consulting services?
This was just one of the things that we changed. This was when we do daycare, fire, like daycare inspections, private, we changed more than one. is, like when we do, if you're getting foster home, if you're getting, children brought into your home.
Yep.
We have to do 1 and 2 family residents to make sure you have fire extinguishers. That's one thing that we changed.
Is there a spot on the one in force, the one we're looking at right now, that reflects a cost to have a, what you just said, a forensic expert come in and provide services?
It's on there, so.
And really, I'm leading the witness here, because I just want to be sure that
If you go
our
all
costs
the
are
way-
Are
covered.
you talking about the one that's in effect now, you talking about one that says draft on it?
No,
No.
the one I passed out,
The one you passed out for 2007?
right.
This is
But I
it.
thought you said we amended it two times.
We've done it several
2009.
times, but it hasn't
There's an
changed the
amended-
date on this,
It doesn't change the date of, this is when
because
we,
it's the same law, you do it inside the law.
that's correct.
And we really would be smart to have a document that says fees amended, you know, we do with policies, 2007, 2010,
Ricky
2012.
does that.
Is it on that document somewhere?
It's not on this document, not yet. That's why in the draft, we wanted to amend it, so it is chronologically.
Yeah.
Do you know in our town policy books that Ricky keeps updated? That's where it is, in the town policies, and it showed the updates.
For the fees.
You are correct.
So each year that we made a change, that year's date is noted on that
Well,
official.
the draft one has it.
That's what I switched, and
The
that's what
draft one has
CJ
it.
and
It
I
says
were,
local law number 1 in 2014 is in parentheses.
that's what we wanted to go to. CJ's like, why don't we have this, it's been amended here, here, and here?
Yeah,
And my only answer was, well, we have it in the town policy books. So that's why I said, did we get the new one that says 2014 amended? To me, it reads clear if we did put it up there. And there wasn't a real reason why we didn't put it up
yeah,
there.
because it just sends a message, we haven't touched it since 2007, and that's not correct.
Now, to your forensic
Yep.
ones, you go to S,
S, as in Sam?
yes, on this one,
We're not, we don't have it on this one?
we do, but this is what we're saying for it. It says, any fee or cost, expense incurred in relationship with the above actions, other code enforcement describes, contemplated 1, professional services. So it doesn't have to say forensic in here, it's just professional services.
At the cost of the service. Perfect. Thank you.
So now, we go to the new one.
Okay,
And then this is where we would like to amend other municipalities or local government agencies. And I don't know how familiar you guys are with Paramount and what the decision of the state has been made.
they just got some information about that.
So this is trying to be proactive instead of reactive. If we hear the buzzwords unfunded mandates,
Yep.
that they're gonna say, you guys are going to do inspection, well, there's a cost incurred. I'd rather be proactive with you guys instead of reactive after the fact. When we're stretched, when my department's stretched already, there's a cost incurred to do inspection. So if the county's gonna opt out of code enforcement, this is one revenue that we would have to help my department on, there's several buildings that are going out there, if you guys are from that, like Wood Group, Pratt and Whitney, the old Pratt and Whitney was one of them, you have Wood Group, you have several up and down there, and then Paramount's gonna be one that we already started processing, so it's gonna go through, but going forward, we wanna make sure that we are ahead of the curve for not only them, but as you guys probably have seen with even water and sewer, with Scarlet Falls saying that we don't want the water anymore, you guys take care of it. So it is an option for Scarlet Falls, not saying that they are, but Scarlet Falls or other municipalities could opt out of code enforcement officer, and guess what? We have to do it. So that's where it says, if you read through here, it'll say, other municipalities, not only the county, but, you know, here's where we charge, there'll be expense, a fee expense of traveling to Scholar Falls, or to the county, or to Beekman Town, or Peru, for that fact.
I guess I don't know where we're at, because I don't see those.
You
K of the draft.
See where it says K?
Right here. Yep.
This is
Okay,
that.
so this covers new construction, additions, resident alterations. Where does it say that it's gonna cover all our expenses for?
It doesn't say all of our expenses. We can't charge, I shouldn't say that, we can't. If you look under K, all state, county, or federal or municipal buildings within the town of Plattsburgh. or the governing jurisdiction does not have a code officer opt out. Opt out is a key word that the state is now using. If they opt out, like the county has opted out of having a code officer.
So, have a code officer, the any fee for the following
The
inspection?
word any needs to be scratched.
Oh, okay, so it's just the fee for the following inspection will be, and this covers everything that we would normally do, for our own anyway.
My concern with that, and Tom, you're guiding us there. You are noting a cost to go out and do, for example, an inspection. There's a cost to the town of Plattsburgh that we incur as a result of your training, as a result of licenses, as a result of your vehicle, as a result of insurances, as a result of clerical, as a result of software, etc. Is that factored into this?
I would say yes, and I'm gonna say no. Yes, there is, because this is a little more expensive fee than what we pay inside of town. But to try to factor in every single cost on a one permit, it just,
Crazy.
yeah, the permit would be 60 grand for one building.
Mhm.
You know, obviously that doesn't equate into how we set up these fees.
But I think that's part of why when we provide services to other municipalities, we have an agreement. And the agreement would usually have a base fee to cover those kinds of investments that we make, and then a service fee, such as an inspection fee, when I actually go out and do a particular.
But there's
Project.
there's also a recurring benefit to the town from most other buildings that the code enforcement officer does an inspection on
That's
when the
right.
building goes up. Whereas there is not always the same benefit on municipal buildings.
Usually isn't the same benefit.
Now,
You're being too generous.
thank you.
So there's no ongoing residual value for the town of Plattsburgh. I would assume, Steve, that you have done, again, with CJ, your homework, you've reviewed similar municipalities and similar agreements and other charges. Many times, like in the real estate, it says, show me comparables. Well, if we looked at comparable agreements, they would be reflected here as well.
It's, again, it's a yes, no. We did the research. There's 5 or 6 counties that we found that have not opted out. They have their own code officer that the county hires to do their own municipal inspections. So when you go into even what they charge, there's always a charge, even if they're charging themselves for budgetary needs, to say, all right, where, you know, if it's, because you have, say if it's a county building that rents back to the Veterans Association, that rents back to other JECO, other type of those, there's still a cost that they're gonna put back to their renters. Even though maybe a discounted rate, they still, even though they're, we do it here, you say, all right, you know, we're all the town of Plattsburgh, but we still charge from the highway department, we still charge them X amount of rate. So we looked at those 5 or 6 different municipalities that opted in and that opted out, and it's amazing amounts of towns that are opting out, and then now the state is finally saying, we're not doing that. You're going to, and I'm putting it back like they're trying to start with us. So it was across the board, somewhere unbelievable high when you get down to like New York City area. Oh my goodness. We'd all get run out of town if we used those numbers. So this was a medium for us above and beyond of what we already have to do, and we're already stretched to say, Fifth County, if you choose to opt out, these are your prices. And they can choose to pass that on to their tenant, or they can choose to pay them, because it's actually their property.
Mhm.
It's the county's property, it's the county's building. And
There's a benefactor. Yeah.
There is exceptions.
It is.
It's not gonna work straight across the board. There's several buildings on there, such as like Homeland Security, we can't touch. You know, that's a federal building that we can't even go and inspect, so it's not across the board. Homeland Security, they have maybe 2 hangars, and their new modular buildings that are in there that aren't included. You know, the county, they dictate to the county when they can come there, when they can be on premise. because of the security of the nature. So it's not across the board. There is exceptions that we can't charge for because we can't even go there.
So what happens if there's an accident injury because proper code practices weren't followed in the construction of the building?
In the federal building,
Yeah,
I have a lawyer.
They don't
that
have to
answers that
fire,
question.
they don't have to follow code. Ever been at Plattsburgh Air Force Base? They didn't have to follow code?
In the
mhm,
military, it was their own code. You better
Right.
believe it.
So
Yeah.
no matter if it's the federal government, but they are the federal government, it's Homeland Security, so.
yeah.
Steve, are you comfortable with these fees being all inclusive if we were to use this?
There's no
and
change
tack
in
them?
fees, right?
This is a whole new added one, Tom.
Yeah.
For K,
K,
we didn't have.
K is new.
That's the big piece.
Newly
But,
developed.
okay, but there seems to be some missing that you had on the old one.
What do you mean? Yes, we took out planning. You're looking at some of the site plan
Oh, okay.
and Phil is gonna be on his standalone because he's not derived through New York State code, which is a code rule which I can derive for my permits and fees. Phil is redoing, or the planning department is redoing theirs. So for site plan, you are correct, site plan, sketch plan, detailed plan, subdivision plan.
Review.
So there's no category that we've left on, that isn't in this, we don't have in this. We haven't eliminated any categories, other than we're gonna just transfer it to another department.
Planning is gonna do their own.
If I remember right,
But you won't
in the
lose any.
meeting we had,
No.
Phil's looking to increase the fees for preliminary reviews.
Yeah, he's got one
Because
coming in a couple
he
weeks.
goes through that, and then they back out, and he doesn't get paid. He doesn't get paid for what he's had to do.
Hours and
Yeah,
hours.
hours.
So that's what is missing from there, and truly they should be on their own, so they can, if there's changes in CURS costs, if we do get a town engineer, they can adjust it more or less, that we keep it in-house instead of going to LaBerge or Shays Inn, that's on him now.
Are the fees the same as the old?
Which ones?
Well, it feels to me that they're pretty much the same.
Yes,
I
we
see
did.
very few, like the $2 went to $4 for buildings over 16 feet high, but I don't see too many changes.
No, we only did for the other municipalities and government agencies into there.
So you're saying that our fees are sufficient for all your costs?
For this right now, as we are, I believe they are. They're not exorbitant, they're right in line with what we did. We took them from what the state was doing, charging for other municipalities, except for, we went over the height. If we do get a hangar, if we do something else that's high steel, that we're gonna, it's way more intense when you're doing high steel. So if you're a hangar that's 60 feet wide, there's so much more structural integrity and review for it. So that's where it went from 2 to 4. We switched into there because a few things,
But basically, all the rest seems to be the same.
yes. And this could all, I hate to say this could be all for naught. If the county decides to get their own code officer, this will probably never be used.
But if needed, it's there, and if it isn't the county or with another municipality, I think you're still on the right trail. I'd really like in the new section, the J again, and there are a lot of things that are discussed, and even to the point if you had to subcontract a little like we've done with the assessor's office, to have another codes enforcement officer come in and say, that project's yours, our fees for him would be passed on to the project, to the municipality. So,
We're currently using that with the new hotel that's proposed across from the Hampton Inn. The geotechnical engineer stuff that they're doing because of the 5-story, way beyond us. So we sent it out to Ron Bolt Engineering to do all the geotech. There were some issues with some fill, when I say fill, some construction debris that was put there to make sure that it was removed. He's reviewing that, the seismic zone, and they're doing wood to steel connection points, which is, you don't really hear about that. So it was very technical data, and he's reviewed those, and those expenses will go back to the developer.
his reports come direct to us, and then,
And then we send out the bill. They won't get a C of O until
good,
the bill is paid.
that's good.
Okay, so the biggest thing I had was, it does cover everything, we don't need to raise them, because that's one of the things we're trying to look at on everything is terms of fees, is whether we're charging an adequate amount to cover the cost. Okay.
I'd like to have a resolution next Monday at a regular meeting. So if anyone sees anything, come across anything, if it's, grammatical or whatever, Steve, I assume you'll correct that item in K.
There's
Yes.
no reason to,
Get one to us without draft on it, do a final spell check, and
And I'd like to put 14 on the front, but you guys did get that, so Deborah did give that to you guys in time. So we'll change 14, take the any out of that, and then try to have a new copy for you
we'll
guys.
do a cover page, just, as an addendum to local law and
this doesn't need to be coordinated, if we pass it next week, doesn't need to be coordinated with the planning fees, even though some of the planning is in here.
Phil said his should be coming to your guys shortly.
Okay, so
There
there's
is
not gonna
no-
be any,
There's no planning in the new draft, though, right?
There is not?
Yeah.
Not,
This will be a
not-
They're
standard.
separated.
Phil's is
They're
separated, so.
well, I
Phil-
understand that. What I'm saying is we pass this, then between periods, before the next one comes,
They'll
What do we
work,
have?
they'll work in concert with one another once they're passed, but as of right now, they're two separate issues.
well, nothing's gonna come in between now and then, when he gets his done, to
Well, this doesn't nullify what his current fees are.
okay.
So if he passes the new law, the old one covers him, I think.
If you guys have any questions going through there, or if you want to run through some fees, just let me know, stop in. Between Whitney, Russell, myself, and CJ, we went through this, and grammatical, I gotta check over that, and
Happens.
I guess the biggest thing that was confusing was
No one ever
the
did
dates.
that, so.
The dates to me were confusing, because I always like to see, as you said, the 2007 law, but here's the change for, yeah, so we saw the change for 2009, 2010, 2014. Do we need to do anything else on any of the other things with Steve?
Well, we have one other item coming up later as a resolution to adopt. As you know, we've had 2 work sessions this month. I wasn't here for the last work session, as everybody knows. My understanding is everyone is comfortable with the amendment, resolution 81 amendment, not 81, 82, amending the resolution to include lodging. I think you all went over that, I don't know, we need to go over old turf. The other one, I wasn't here
Well, I
last
don't know if
time.
everybody was okay with that. Did you have some?
I had questions, I had met with, we can go discuss it now or discuss it at the time of the resolution. Makes no difference to me. I have an amended sheet that was given to me by Pat, that I sat down with him, that I'm very comfortable with. It doesn't include comp hours that I had in question. It does not include 56 cents per mile IRS rate that was on the last one. And with the numbers that are presented now, it still shows that it's $178 more expensive to have
So
them
you're
travel back and
okay
forth.
with this then?
And again, like Steve and I had discussed, and I don't want the phone calls from all the developers or builders or anything, but if we could avoid any and all comp time, if we told him and Alan to take Friday off, I don't think we're in a position with the construction that's going on in the town of Plattsburgh to do that. So I'm very comfortable with the new numbers.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that we had covered everything.
Well, my argument all along has been the value of being there. I know there's a cost, and the difference of commuting and staying there is a good discussion, but there's a huge value for the town and for us to have Steve functioning at that level. And he gets to demonstrate our support that I think will pay us dividends later, kind of the cost of business. And there is the Vassal of Forest, we've got a resolution to appoint to fill a vacancy on the ZBA. I wasn't part of any discussion. I don't know if anybody has any questions while Steve's here before he leaves on that one.
The zoning board of appeals, I was, has he worked with you?
yeah, Vaso was, I'm gonna throw a number, 5 years ago. He's probably had 2 or 3 different, he came in front of the zoning board of appeals, representing a lady in Cadyville for a use variance. So he's approached on the other side of the ZBA. Very professional, straightforward guy, has a recommendation. Nothing bad to say about him. He gets it, he's in real estate, so he understands a lot of the land use management, so side yards, rear yard setbacks, what people are asking for. And he sat in enough meetings that I think that he gets it, and he seems very sharp on some other issues too, so I think he's gonna be an
Yeah, I
asset.
tried to think on the comprehensive land use plan.
Does he diversify the board to spread out? Because I know members in the past have been in some high-density areas.
He's in Cadyville, which we needed that.
The western frontier on Route 3.
The reason that I wanted it asked is, you said that you worked with somebody from Cadyville, but didn't say that he was in Cadyville, so it's nice to have somebody from that end of the town.
It is, and we were looking for that end. He's actually moved around Cadyville too, so he's got all the way right to the line to now he's on Gatto Road, which is one of the arteries of Cadyville. So we were trying to, when we lost you, that was you and Henry both in Cumberland Head. I think Marty said, you don't want too many in one area, because if you get 19 neighbors knocking down your door about something, so if you spread it out, you get more of the neighborhood. So that really took care of that part of the neighborhood. Also, I think will be a great asset.
I've known Basso and the family for a number of years. I can't say I personally have hung out with him, other than when I did jury duty last year, we served together. But and even in that, very professional, very well spoken. I've never.
So he would understand our background of our
I think
plan and
so.
our comprehensive plan. and
Good
everything else
family
when he's making his
person.
decisions.
Yep.
Yeah, he's got like
Good
already a
choice.
leg up, I believe, because he's worked in the industry. When you do real estate, you understand where you can put houses, what you can't, what's detrimental. So he's already got a good running start before he's even on the ZBA. And unfortunately, we have some issues with some of our board members getting a little older, but health issues. So my board is turning over, and this was a good opportunity. And Mr. Bassett, you had I can't remember his name, I'm trying to remember his name, that you brought in on a whole separate one that we were also trying to consider.
Pat,
There you go, I can't remember.
Dushan Punky's husband. I haven't had a chance to call him yet. Same thing, Wallace Hill, I think he would be very good.
And that's the same area that, once your house sells, Bambridge, Charlie, her house is for sale. Charlie Bambridge is on our ZBA. She's an alternate, but they want to move to Pennsylvania. They have a house there, but their house is on Durand Road. So Pat is right around the corner off from Wallace Hill Road.
Yep.
We thought maybe that would be a good next alternate with aged people retiring and going out, and elections. It just turned on us quick. We went from a full board to, we were down 2 members. She's not gone yet, and her house hasn't sold, but if it sells, then...
The other thing I'm concerned about is that when we're talking about diversity, we're not just talking about diversity of the place in the town, but also the fact that they understand what the intent of the comprehensive land use plan, and they're putting some of the recommendations into effect, and that they're taking into account when these appeals come before them.
Yeah, that's a good point. Reading through our new comprehensive plan and our new zoning ordinance.
Yeah, I think that's one.
If you guys do, for Basso, if you do act on it, it's a matter of getting all the new stuff to him, reading upline, and we bring them in. It's like, here's where it was, this is where the new comprehensive is, and boots on the ground and running.
Wasn't a person that I had any, foreknowledge of him, of being considered, but I was delighted to see his name. I've known him, and I respect him, respect his professionalism. I think he'd be a good member.
I'm glad he's willing. It's easy to find good people, but who are also willing is much, much more
Took him 2 weeks to say yes.
Yeah. He thought through it. Anyone have anything else for Steve? If not, we'll let him go home.
Finally, nine.
Thank you, Steve, appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve.
Enjoy. Number 2 item on the agenda is our historian has a request for a conference. This is one that we would need to pass this evening. I know you haven't seen it. Jerry was away. He was actually on vacation. But there's not a lot of turnaround time to get this in place. I know you haven't had much time to see it either.
Well, I've been through it, and I think there's some really important things in here, but also it's really quite an honor to have both of them presenting some of the things that are going on. And this is a critical year, obviously, 1814, 2014. This is a critical year to have them participate and putting the word out there. And I think this will help the whole area economically as well as historically.
His role also, he's been able to help support having a regional function come to Plattsburgh. I think they're doing that at the Holiday Inn, which we don't get a lot of that here, and it's good for business.
I would echo Tom's comments, and actually over the weekend, I was watching PBS, and the special on kind of making sure to support the War of 1812 artifacts and Pikes Cantonment and so on and so forth, and Jerry was part of that special. And it just happened when I went into work today, a couple people were also watching the special. So people are very in tune with the historical value of what's going on. And I believe this conference in particular isn't just about the attendance. I may kind of weigh the value of sending someone to a conference as we have with some other people right now, but where he's presenting the timeliness of it and the work that he's been doing to encourage the tourism in this region, I definitely think there's a great value this time.
We use the word value a few times, and we certainly want to send people to become knowledgeable, whatever the board they're on or whatever their role is, but when they are also a part of the function, and our representatives are seen as having that kind of value, that they're part of the training of others, it does add a lot of value. We're paying for a conference, but we're getting a lot more than just attendance. I guess I should say with full disclosure that if you approve this, his, like others, budget is extremely lean. We may need to do some transfers. He may be as close as $6 left in that account, but I think we'll find $6, and we just may need to do an adjustment. If you see that in the future, you'll know part of why. We'll be very sensitive to that as we go forward, but I don't think there's great value in adjusting every time we have something, especially if you're $6 off. We might want to wait and make one adjustment during the year, but I'll be further discussing that. Base slip lining, again, just trying to kill two birds with one stone a little bit here. I always like to have things come up to you before, and we're a little out of sync. It's been a strange year already. But we do have a final. Deborah, it's important we talk about what do we want to put in everybody's packet. We can't copy everything we have. What's important to this is a couple of things, and for my money, right at the top, when I get these, I'll do my review, go through questions, but also send them to the department for their review. And Scott has done the same as RJ, and they're telling us the project's done, it's done to our satisfaction, no outstanding issues.
Bernie, we don't hold back anything for a year on these projects?
Not that I'm aware of. I can't say that we don't, but not that I'm aware of, and I don't recall seeing it in here.
Yeah, it's according to this, we're giving them the
Retainage.
total amount.
Yep.
It doesn't look like there's any retainage at all.
I've got,
Oh, yeah, this is the retainage.
yes,
I mean,
this is what they're asking for, jobs done. I don't think in this project we have that built into it.
Okay. I'm wondering in light of, I know that the county had some slip lining done, and the last problem they had out there was in a section with slip line, I believe, was what came back from the Water and Sewer Department. I just don't know, guessing we don't have the same contractor they had. In light of that, I didn't know if we were
And there's work, of course, that's, you know, guaranteed for a period of time, et cetera, without having to hold back funds. I mean, my best answer to the question, George, is I'm not aware of that in this
Alright.
instance. I'm not aware that's a problem, or that it would be normal for this particular kind of project. I will ask.
Okay, yeah, if you don't mind,
Yeah.
just.
So this has been signed off by Scott.
Been signed up by LaBerge and by Scott.
Mhm.
The other item is a JCEO appointment. We've done this by letter from my desk to JCEO acknowledging that we'd like, in this instance, Martha Bachman to continue to represent the town of Plattsburgh on that board. It seems, at least in the short history, the supervisor did that. I did that for a while, and I really felt there was more value in having somebody from the community do that for us, and Martha has been doing that ever since. And I would write that letter again unless someone has any concerns. The next item is the Planning Federation Conference training. We would do that one in March. This one actually gets us to where we should be. And that would not happen until then, so you've got some time to look that over. As you know, we've evolved where planning, code and zoning's there too. They do not send their team to New York City. This is in Saratoga, it's a lot less expensive. They do have required training. I don't see anything of concern, but look it over, and we'll have that at our, probably at our March 3rd meeting. If you see anything in the interim, let me know. We'll let Deborah know. All right? If you don't slow me down, I'm gonna keep going forward.
Keep right on moving.
Ricky, you have these? Yep. So, let's start with Resolution 73, approving the minutes of the previous meetings.
Resolved that the minutes of February 3rd and February 10th, 2014 be approved in the reading of the minutes we just finished.
Have a motion.
So moved.
Mr. Manik, second.
Second.
Mr. Renada, any discussion? Roll call.
Thomas Wood,
Yes.
Mark Manick,
Yes.
Michael Cashner.
Yes.
Gerard Rendon.
Yes.
Bernie Vassar.
Yes, resolution carries. Resolution 74, abstract 2C.
Resolved that the abstract of audit claim number 2C-14, 2979 and 2982 for $3,429.14, and abstract 2C-14, 148 to 280 for $149,939.34, and abstract 2B-14, 69 through 88 prepays for the amount of $506,961.55, and be received as reviewed by the audit committee, and the supervisors hereby authorized to pay that.
Have a motion.
So moved.
Mr. Renada, second.
Second.
Mr. Cashman, any discussion? Roll call.
Thomas Wood,
Yes.
Mark Manick,
Yes.
Michael Cashman,
Yes.
Gerard Rendon.
Yes.
Bernie Vassar.
Yes, resolution carries. Resolution 75, Building Maintenance and Safety Committee monthly report.
Resolved to receive and place on file a report from Art Rowe, Building Maintenance Supervisor for the month of January
Have a
2014.
motion.
So moved.
Mr. Manik, second.
Second.
Mr. Wood, any discussion?
I did see that you sent out an email, Bernie, thank you for that, as far as getting some response as far as remedial action taken when there has been an accident. I appreciate that.
And I didn't see it on the report.
No, I didn't see it, I'm hoping that next month we will see something if there's an accident.
I will follow up with that as well one more time because it should be there. In my case, we all chuckled at the opportunity to look at our security videos and watch me fall down, then fall up, then fall down again.
Can we put that on YouTube?
So how many times was it that you fell? I
I still shudder to think of,
Let's put it that way.
I mean, I bounced up okay, but that mat, when I hit it, just took off like a magic carpet, and I went down like a tree and really hit hard. Mel came running out of her office. She heard me. She was inside. I think of who could have been hurt, and I wasn't the first person through that door that morning. But it really was a quirk, but it truly was an opportunity to look at our security videos with a real purpose of trying to figure out what happened. And it was clear. It was very clear. It was amazing.
Slipped right out.
Yeah, I mean, my foot hit the carpet. It was just, but it was a good chance to test our hardware anyway. But we did chuckle a little, and I thank God it was me. There's so many other people who could have, not that I'm Superman, I don't know why, hard-headed, but boy, somebody could have been hurt. Any other discussion?
We'll watch for symptoms as we go along here.
It's statute of limitations, I can't use it. It's over. Roll call.
Thomas Wood,
Yes.
Mark Manick,
Yes.
Michael Cashman.
Yes.
Charles Benedette.
Yes.
Bernie Bassett.
Yes, resolution carries. Resolution 76, Codes and Zoning Department Monthly Report.
Resolved to receive and place on file a report from Stephen I'm. Hoff, Code Enforcement Officer for the month of January 2000.
Have a motion.
So moved.
Mr. Woods, second.
Second.
Mr. Cashman, any discussion? Roll call.
Thomas Wood,
Yes.
Mark Manick,
Yes.
Michael Cashman.
Yes.
Charles Benedette.
Yes.
Bernie Bassett.
Yes, the resolution carries. Resolution 77, Highway Superintendent's Monthly Report.
Resolved to receive and place on file a report from James Woods, Superintendent of Highways for the month of January 2014.
A motion.
So moved.
Mr. Manick, second.
Second.
Mr. Cashman, any discussion?
I sort of like this idea here, where you know what he did what they did each day. I don't know if everybody else thinks it's a good idea.
I passed that on to Jim that we did, and I think someday, I would hope never, but to see the chronology of where they were and the things they were working on could really have some value, including if it was a Saturday or Sunday or whatever it was. Yeah, we passed that on to Jim, and he was glad to hear that.
Well, I don't see too many days missing, so I assume that there was a lot of things going on Saturdays and Sundays.
Yeah, I was wondering why they slacked off on the 18th.
Yeah, what did they do?
All
anyway?
for the 18th.
Kind of thought this weekend it might have been a little calmer. Of course, I'm concerned with overtime, as you all are. And we had a couple guys out. We had one call, it was not ours, a gentleman who went up and down their spine over issues on Route 3 and eventually communicated it's not us. But with the drainage issues, and that ice is still like a dam, just preventing water from getting to the drains and, from running off as it should in the ditches. So, yeah, they've still been quite busy. Winter's not over yet either. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Thomas Wood,
Yes.
Mark Manick,
Yes.
Michael Cashman.
Yes.
Charles Benedette.
Yes.
Bernie Bassett.
Yes, resolution carries. Resolution 78, Planning Department Monthly Report.
Resolved to receive and place on file a report from Phil Bargain, Planning and Engineering Department Head for the month of February.
Have a motion.
So moved.
Mr. Cashman, second.
Second.
Mr. Wood, any discussion? Roll call.
Thomas Wood,
Yes.
Mark Manick.
Yes.
Michael Cashman.
Yes.
Charles Benedette.
Yes.
Bernie Bassett.
Yes, resolution carries. Resolution 79, Town Clerk's Monthly Report.
Resolved to receive and place on file a report from Rick Collins, Town Clerk, for the month of January 2014.
Have a motion.
So moved.
Mr. Renadette, second.
Second.
Mr. Mannix, any discussion? Roll call.
Thomas Wood,
Yes.
Mark Manick,
Yes.
Michael Cashman.
Yes.
Charles Benedette.
Yes.
Bernie Bassett.
Yes, resolution carries. Resolution 80, Water Wastewater Department's Monthly Report.
Resolved to receive and place on file a report from Scott Stoddard, Water and Wastewater Department Director for January
Have a
2014.
motion.
So moved.
Mr. Wood, second.
Second.
Mr. Mannix, any discussion? Roll call.
Thomas Wood,
Yes.
Mark Manick,
Yes.
Michael Cashman.
Yes.
Gerard Bernadette.
Yes.
Bernie Bassett.
Yes, resolution carries. Resolution 81, request to attend annual 2014 State Conference for Historians.
Whereas the town historian and deputy town historian have participated in a number of regional and local events and meetings representing the town and contributing to the development of the rich historical heritage of the town of Plattsburgh and Champlain Valley. Whereas by participating in the annual state conference for historians, Mr. Bates and Mr. Glidden will be able to represent the interests of the town and continue to remain current and informed, making them more effective town historians. Therefore, it is be resolved that Jerry Bates, town historian, and William Glidden, deputy town historian, are allowed to attend the New York State Annual Conference for Historians held from March 16th through March 19th, 2014 in Saratoga, New York, at the Guyton Putnam Hotel, and it be further resolved that an amount not to exceed $1,066 be paid for the conference, annual dues, lodging, meals to be charged to the historian's town budget. And it be further resolved that a copy of this resolution be given to the finance manager and town historians.
Have a motion.
So moved.
Mr. Cashman, second.
Second.
Mr. Wood, any discussion? Roll call.
Thomas Wood,
Yes.
Mark Manick,
Yes.
Michael Cashman.
Yes.
Gerard Bernadette.
Yes.
Bernie Bassett.
Yes, resolution carries. Resolution 82, amendment to Resolution 01448 to attend annual code enforcement educational conference.
Whereas Resolution 14-48 was passed with amendments, and after further review, the town board has decided that it is in the best interest of the town that the code enforcement officer remain at the annual code enforcement conference in Lake Placid. Therefore be resolved that Stephen Imhoff and Alan Reese, code enforcement officers, be allowed to attend the Northern Adirondack Code Enforcement Association's annual educational conference held March 3rd through to March 6th, 2014 in Lake Placid, New York, at the Crown Plaza Resort and Golf Club. And it be further resolved that $618 for lodging and meals be charged to the Code and Zoning budget. And it be further resolved that a copy of this resolution be given to the finance manager and code officer.
Have a motion.
So moved.
Mr. Renovich, second.
Second.
Mr. Mannix, any discussion?
I'm not asking that the resolution be reworded in any way, but I would point out that in passing the resolution, it's not just because we feel it's in the best interest of the town, but it also is financially in the best interest of the town, because it's been demonstrated that it would cost more if we did not allow, provide for them to stay there and were to require that they travel back and forth. Okay.
So noted. Any other discussion?
I would just say I appreciated Gerard's investigating, because the narrative of the cover sheet that we were given originally, the numbers simply just didn't add up the way that it did. In talking with Pat, I'm more comfortable with these numbers. But I mean, I think we have to ask the tough questions, and I was appreciative of the numbers playing.
Anyone else? Roll call.
Thomas Wood,
Yes.
Mark Manick,
Yes.
Michael Cashman.
Yes.
Gerard Bernadette.
Yes.
Bernie Bassett.
Yes, resolution carries. Resolution 83, appointment of Asla Forrest as full-time member of the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Whereas Mr. Cashman has submitted his letter of resignation from the Town of Plattsburgh Zoning Board of Appeals effective January 30th, 2014, leaving a vacancy. And whereas Asla LaForest is willing to serve as a member of the Zoning Board of Appeals, therefore it be resolved that as per local law 1 of 1999, the town board does hereby appoint Mr. LaForest, a resident of the town of Plattsburgh, to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a term to expire December 31st, 2018. And it be further resolved that Mr. LaForest take the oath of office within 30 days of this resolution. And it be further resolved that a copy of this resolution be given to the board chairman, Mr. LaForest, and to Mr. Steve Imhoff, department head.
Have a motion.
So moved.
Mr. Mannix, second.
Second.
Mr. Renada, any discussion?
Yeah, it says to a regular position?
Yes.
Not a alternate?
Correct.
Are there alternates still?
We have a need for one.
My understanding is that there's no alternates.
We need to appoint alternates.
Isn't Charlie an alternate?
Right, but
But she's kind of an alternate.
Yeah.
In other words, all the
At the moment,
alternates,
yeah.
all the alternates that we have wouldn't be around enough to,
We didn't bypass anyone.
okay.
Right.
Well, I'm just asking.
No, I just
Normally, we.
cutting to the chase. And that is the way to do it, unless there's a concern, for that to take place. But that's the beauty of having an alternate, and then ideally moving those people up if it works for them and for the town. Sometimes as an alternate, either party can discover it's not what they thought. But that would be the why. I guess the other thing, we talked about this once before, I don't remember the outcome or if anything changed. Ricky, do you work to help make sure somebody like Mr. LaForce comes in? 10 days go by, you give them a call, send them an email, do something? Because it's important to have 2-3 people chasing these.
Everybody that had to sign in, signed in now except one person. And after numerous phone calls and letters, and it just fell by the wayside.
Okay, but you bird dog that
Oh, yeah.
to make sure it happens.
Yeah.
That was an issue a few years ago.
Yeah.
It still is an issue. We'll have to discuss that later.
Okay. Duly noted. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Thomas Wood,
Yes.
Martin Mannix.
Yes.
Michael Cashner.
Yes.
Laura Brennan.
Yes.
Bernie Bauer.
Yes, resolution carries. Resolution 84, contract number 2, base sewer slip lining district periodic estimate payment number 2 finance.
Whereas the town of Plattsburgh previously awarded to Kenyon Pipe Inspection a bid to provide customer water meters for the base slip lining. And whereas LaBerge Engineering Consulting Group and Scott Stoddard, Director of Water and Wastewater Department, have reviewed the periodic estimate for payment number 2 final for the request and return of the retainage and recommendation as and recommended them as indicated. Therefore, it be resolved that the supervisor is hereby authorized to make payment in the amount of $5,437.67. The amount held for retainage for periodic estimate number 2, dated January 31st, 2014, payable to Kenyon Pipe Inspection, 22 Helen Road, Queensbury, New York, 12804. And it be further resolved that a copy of this resolution and executed periodic estimate number 2 final payment be given to the finance manager, the LaBerge Engineering Consulting Group, Kenyon Pipe Inspection, and Director of Water and Wastewater Department.
A motion.
So moved.
Mr. Woods, second.
Second.
Mr. Mannix, any discussion?
I'll reiterate my comments as far as, I would have liked to have had a little bit of time to find out if we should have continued to hold retainage based on any guarantees that might be forthcoming from the contractor. In lieu of that, we do have the department head who signed off. Evidently, he feels confident, LaBerge Engineering feels confident. In the future, I'm going to be looking for some kind of language in any contracts for any kind of work like this that, in lieu of any kind of warranty that we can actually see and wrap our heads around, that we hang on to retainage for at least a year.
Yeah, I don't know what the criteria is. I remember over the years, we've had some projects where there was a 1-year holdback of some final
A lot of times it's on
funds.
planning, jobs to make sure that the
Landscaping
the
gets finished.
landscaping gets done and
Yeah.
stuff like that. I know a lot of these jobs come through with warranties on them. Nothing says warranty like holding on to somebody's money.
We have a water wastewater committee meeting. That would be a nice place to discuss that too.
Okay, but I mean,
Come up with
I
some
think
parameters.
we're putting, this is not really the time to discuss whether or not we should put something into a contract that wasn't into it previously, but I would like to see something like that in the future.
Yeah, that's a good point, George. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Thomas Wood,
Yes.
Martin Mannix,
Yes.
Michael Cashman?
Yes.
Gerard Renzo?
Yes.
And Bertie Bass.
Yes, resolution carries. Resolution 85, 3% site plan return deposit from Musso Ford expansion site plan 2012, phase 2.
Whereas the town of Plattsburgh Planning Board has reviewed and approved all requirements of the Musso Ford Site Plan 2012 Phase 2. And whereas Musso Ford Site Plan 2012 has on file with the town of Plattsburgh a 3% deposit for construction of the project and the original amount of $628.17 plus accrued interest. Whereas the planning department has coordinated inspection of said project and reports all requirements have been met and completed. Whereas Musso Ford Site Plan 2012 has requested in a letter that the 3% deposit in the amount of $628.17 plus accrued interest to date be returned now. Therefore, it be resolved that the supervisors hereby authorized and directed to release of said project in the amount of $628.17 plus accrued interest to date. And it be further resolved that a certified copy of this resolution be forwarded by the planning department secretary with the return of the deposit to Kim Musso.
Motion.
So moved.
Mr. Renadek, second.
Second.
Mr. Mannix, any discussion?
Bernie, February 3rd, I think the packet came out. I didn't catch it then. I looked at it, was going through stuff for tonight's meeting. We were handed, or in our packet was a W-9 with the social security number on it. Never should have happened.
Nope.
And Mr. Cashman told me that it was on our website as well.
It was. I told Mr. Mannix last week.
That should never happen.
Was that removed?
It was removed from the website.
Okay.
I called David that night. and he
Good.
removed it.
Thank you. No, a piece of paper that got caught up, but we're a huge problem when it especially goes that far on the website.
There
Yeah.
was also a check with her account number on it.
Okay,
So I don't know why I didn't catch it, or none of us caught it except for Debbie, back in the beginning of February. And again, it never, I don't know if Dave takes a look at it, what he puts on there with any kind of an eye towards,
I would guess he just takes what we electronically send him and post it. I mean, that's not his job, and
Well, how do we send it?
electronically to him as a package. And
So
he just puts the whole package
nobody
up.
deletes or goes through it before they do?
Once it goes to him, that's it. It should have
Well,
already
yeah, but
been
who sends it to him?
Deborah.
So she needs to go through it then. and-
Well, yeah, I mean, they've done this for 9 years, that's the first time that happened, it obviously was a mistake. I mean, I will discuss it with her as well, but,
I didn't realize it had even been caught. That it was coming up with
Yeah, I
some kind of
didn't
shattered
catch it.
news here. All right.
to be acted on, but all I can say at this point. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Thomas Wood?
Yes.
Mark Mannix?
Yes.
Michael Cashman?
Yes.
Gerard Renzo?
Yes.
Bertie Bass.
Yes, resolution passes. Other than that, we have had a couple drafts for Monday, and that's the end of my business for this evening. I don't know how, the conference training, this should have gotten out to you before. This goes with the request by the planning department.
Okay.
Maybe get one to Mr. Coffey. And if no one has anything else, we will,
Well, have a,
Just as you're looking at this, just a point of information, you probably are all aware of it, but just in the event somebody isn't. There were no members of the planning board that went to the Association of Towns meeting this year. They all elected to
You're looking for the court?
do their planning,
I'm actually just.
in Saratoga Springs at this session.
which is a big switch. I remember around 2006, 7 or so.
Is the court open tonight?
I'm not looking for the court, I just need to get a fix-it ticket in. I don't live in the area, I'm sorry, so I finished work.
Court closed.
This is the only chance I have to.
Court is closed, I'm sorry, there's nobody there.
Okay, is there a mailbox that I can leave this in for them? Do they have a,
Let me see what you have.
it's just a fix-it ticket for a headlight. I just need to get it in
Oh.
by the 27th.
We take care of that.
You better write this guy's name down.
I really appreciate it.
I'm not even going to open it, I will see the court gets it in the morning.
I appreciate that.
Okay.
I'm in Albert, so it means a lot to me
All right.
to come back, so.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Drive
All right.
safe.
Yep,
Good
thank
luck.
you. Yeah, take care, guys.
There's a prison. There was a prison in Albert.
Albert,
Oh, he's in Albert.
yeah.
So I'm going to adjourn us at 8:04.